Hello, one and all, and welcome to another episode of Baggers Chat. My name is Mitch Panson, and as always, we are joined by Ethan Duffy. And tonight, we are officially booking our grand final ticket for season 2025 because Carlton are finally on the board. We obviously have just beaten the West Coast Eagles, not Duff and I, the Carlton Football Club. I don't know why we said we, but we are supporters, so we have to say we. Carlton, 71-point win over the Eagles. Final scores were Carlton, 17 goals, 19, 121 to the Eagles, 6 goals, 14, 50 points. So, Daff, first things first, it's a very much needed win, as you say, in the initial thoughts. But overall, I guess we'll throw straight into the initial thoughts with the first thing that you'll say. But what did you kind of think of that game as a whole?
Yeah, I'll say what I wrote down on our rundown sheet here. Much needed win for the club, both the players on the field, the board who have been targeted by everyone, and the supporters. And I'm not here to say, it's all sunshine and rainbows. We've got so many areas to improve, right? But we've got to get to the point here. We have lost 4 games in a row prior to this game. We both spoke about it before going on air. We've got to be, a bit of happiness. Just be happy. Just be content. That's probably the word for me. I'm content and I'm relieved because now I'm not going to watch Footy Furnace. I'm not going to watch First Crack. I'm not going to watch all these crap about us losing. And I'm sure they might even see some of our stuff that we'll talk about. There's like the areas we need to improve. For me, the big area is the transition defense. And I'm sure they might talk about that because there was a few times there where it was unacceptable. But like I said, Patto, we've got to be content because this is our first review of the season after a win, which is weird enough. I remember I was putting together the thumbnail for our videos, which is the photo on the videos, and having a celebration photo, Patto, rather than a sad walk off the ground. the typical sad lost photo on the thumbnail. But yeah, it was really, really good. And it was just good to see, players with smiling faces. And we did it for Sardi as well, who I thought was really, really good as well.
Yeah. Sard actually had 25 touches, which is amazing. And what we were kind of speaking on in the previous show is with Sardi, it's either you have to be the attacking defender and have probably a player like, I don't know, like probably to a stretch, like you probably would say Jordan Boyd if he comes back into the side, but if it wasn't Boyd that it was today, like McGovern, whether it was Haynes as well, I know that Hollins as well was in the back line. So those guys are probably the guys that have to watch their opponents a little bit more because that means that frees up Adam Sard. And I think that's what happened today. And it just made a difference moving forward. And when you touched on, I guess the overall, like turning the defense into the offense, like the transition overall, the reason for that, I think, was just we were just pushing a little bit too high. Yeah. And it's either, and I think we actually were attacking quite well today, which I saw as a bit of a point of a bit of a difference. And I don't know if that was due to the opposition in West Coast and they aren't as good as the sides that we've been playing against, whether it's Collingwood, Dogs, and the Hawks. And look, kind of looking back at those losses, Western Bulldogs are pretty good. And the Pies are pretty solid as well. Hawthorn, we obviously know are going to be a good side. So I think we mentioned even after the review of the Dogs game, like there's not a lot going wrong. We are not getting blown out in these matches. And maybe we are kind of overreacting a little bit. Like people would say, like you said it, I think after the Dogs game or even the preview of the Pies game, we are literally like, we are still getting over the loss to Richmond.
Yes.
And that's the reason why we are still pissed off right now. Like, I feel like supporters still aren't happy 100%. With the performance today because we are still getting over that round 1 game. And I don't think Richmond are as bad as what we actually think.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they are great. And of course we should have won that game. Yeah. My God. Like, I'm not saying it was a good game and like Richmond are just better than us. And like, not at all. Like we 100% should have won that game being 41 points up, but it just happens. It's round 1. Unfortunately, it happens.
Yep.
They were playing off pure
Yeah.
adrenaline and emotion to get that job done.
Mm.
Now we move on. We love to say we go week by week.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
just beaten the Eagles. We like, it's not like we had Geelong put in front of us this week. We had the West Coast Eagles. We can't be disappointed if we win by 71 points. So if we win by 300 points, I know if Carlton supporters will still be happy about that.
Yep. Yep.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
both sides of it, because I feel like we're quite optimistic. And of course, we're kidding about the grand final tickets. Like, it's week by week, but we just have to be a little bit more optimistic about, like, we haven't seen a win since August.
Yes.
So let's just try and soak this in a little bit. Let's have a few days off and let's actually enjoy our weekend with a Carlton win. And then move in, like, maybe Monday, Tuesday, we look towards Good Friday against North Melbourne, which can be a good game, but we still know that we can definitely get the job done.
Yeah.
So, Daf, I guess we'll throw straight into the injuries. What did you see today? Because there obviously were some players that unfortunately had some injuries. Who were they?
Yeah, well, I'll start with the one that actually happened earlier in the game, and that was the Harry concussion, which I knew straight away when the head clash. He can't, obviously, you see it a lot in footy. There's two guys with a head clash, and one always comes out worst, like second best, as they say. But shattering, because he was around the ground. He looked really good in the ruck contest and around the stoppage. He got a couple clearances. I was like, gee, this is nice to see. You forget how good a player is when he hasn't been in the team for a couple of weeks, and clearly he struggled in round one. But I think that was, let's be real, I don't think his head was in the game at that point in round one. He said he was struggling throughout February, heading into round one. So clearly the mental health issues, and it was great to hear him the other day on his podcast. Just quickly on that, it was fantastic. That just shows anyone he's in he said his life's great. He's with his girlfriend. He's got, loving girlfriend, loving families, teammates, are supporting him. He says his life's great, but also there's, that's just the mental health. So, and also if anyone listening, if they're going through something, always reach out. We're always here. So that was great to see, but terrible to see his concussion. And then the next injury, obviously, was late in the game. At first, I thought, before they showed the replay, I thought it was his knee again, because he had issues with that the last few years. And then I saw the replay, and straight away I knew it was an Achilles for Brody Kemp, and it's shattering. He looked devastated, sitting on the bench there for the last part of the game. But another forward goes down. So, the question gets asked, how are we going to roll into next week? Are we going to play a Pitternet in the ruck and play TDK as more of a forward, which, I wouldn't be against? Or do we play, Cripps in that role? But, Patto, what are your thoughts on both Harry and the more major injury with Brody Kemp?
Oh, it's not great, is it? Like,
no.
Kemp missed his first year with a knee injury, as you mentioned, and it's so unlucky on him. And Harry Mackay, in his first game back, probably the horror start to his return. He's had a few tough moments the past few weeks and months, and this isn't his first concussion. He's had a few concussions now, so it's kind of now getting a bit of a worry, these concussions. I don't know how many he's had, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's probably 5 or 6, even more. I know that 2021 I think he had multiple in 2021. So, and he still won the Brown, and he still won the Coleman in 2021. So, yeah, it is worrying. But it just kind of then throws to like how the forward structure will look coming against North Melbourne. And I guess that's what we'll kind of touch on now. I know we want to review this game, and we definitely will, but we will touch on, because these are two key forwards that obviously will not be playing next week. Well, you would assume with Brody Kemp. I know that it says Achilles, but we will find out in the next few days. You would bloody hope it isn't as bad, but I think, unfortunately, we just have to be realistic, and I think it potentially could be season over for Brody Kemp, but we obviously do hope the best. But heading into North Melbourne next week, there's no Harry Mackay, because he obviously will be out next week with the concussion, and Brody Kemp, who expected will not be there next week, and won't be there for a while. How do we see that forward line shaping up? Because I know that Mike Pitternet is potentially available, but also, as we mentioned before we started the episode, there wasn't a VFL game today because we had a bye. So Pitto actually hasn't had that run through, unless he played. He didn't play against Southport, did he? I don't think he did. He really hasn't had that match fitness since coming back from injury. So I don't know if you kind of do throw him in the deep end against a guy like Cherry. And I don't know if it's a big risk because he's actually coming off a bit of a hamstring issue as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
today against the Gold Coast Suns, he wasn't looking good either. So
Mm-hmm.
it is quite an interesting one, and we know that Tom DeConning is doing fine. Like, yes, he may have lost to Bailey Williams today. I don't think he got smashed, but I don't
No,
think he even lost to a stretch. But I
no,
know that
no.
there
Yeah.
are people that are expecting Tom DeConning to improve. But I don't know if you potentially do throw a really like a good Tom DeConning who is still
Mm.
fit up against a not so fit Cherry,
Yeah.
or you just put Pitto and Tom DeConning alongside each other, and if
Yep.
Pitto isn't right, you kind of place him at full forward. I know we do laugh about that a fair few times, but how do you see it happening? Because you've mentioned
Yeah.
Cripps and another
Yep.
player that we kind of don't really want to mention, but might have to be a realistic thought is Jack Silvani. I know he's doing so well in
Yep.
the back line,
Mm-hmm.
but now Haynes is doing really good. Mitch McGovern had a good game today.
Yeah.
Silvani
Yep.
can go forward and make an impact.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts right now after those kind of points? What do you
Mm.
think is probably the most realistic one?
Yeah. Well, thinking about it now, I think the most realistic thing is to put Lewis Young into the team, and maybe put him in defence and put Silvani forward. But they seem to be putting Lewis Young up forward, which, I wouldn't be against if he's just a marking target and playing in the ruck. So, we've both said we want Silvani to stay down back, but if we've got to a stage now where Kemp isn't up forward now, so you might have to play Silvani forward of the ball against the Roos. And yeah, I'd trust Lewis Young to get the job done in defence. You'd probably go Wiedering to Larkey and Young to
Darling, probably.
Darling. Yeah. So, you look at that and you go, okay, that, we can do that. And like you said, with Haynes and McGovern having good games. So, yeah, that'll be interesting watch. But yeah, it'll be a lot of thinking ahead. And I think Cripps either way will be getting more time up forward next week or playing a similar amount of forward time as he did today.
Mm. And the thing with Lewis Young, I know that could definitely be
Yep.
the solution as well. But I think with Lewis Young, the reason why he's played forward is to kind of,
Mm.
I guess, like to keep the key defender for the opposition
Yeah.
kind of down. And there's not really a key defender who's
No.
really threatening.
No.
I know that like a Charlie Comden has been solid for North
But it's
Melbourne,
like, come
but
on.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he's going to be
Yeah.
like he's not a world beater that's going to
No.
dominate the game. So
No.
I think you probably would rather like even just put Lewis Young to Nick Larkin and just like kind of tag him. Maybe free up Jacob Wiedering a little bit and put
Oh,
Wieders
yeah.
to Darling. I'm not too sure. I don't know
no.
what's going to happen, but I just think I'm saying right now I don't think Lewis Young will play. But also we've seen it as well, and Lewis Young can play as a key forward, and more importantly, as a second ruck, as you said.
Yeah, yeah.
That means that I think it's more about that than him playing forward.
100%.
I think it's a target. Keep him deep. So if he does mark it, he's 25, 30 meters out. It's not a tough shot. But however, I mean, he did have a 45-meter shot against the Dogs on a very tight angle, and he absolutely nailed it. So it is an interesting one. But yeah, I thought we will just definitely very quickly touch on that because that obviously is a big issue with the injuries. And heading into next week, we will obviously touch on it a lot more in depth with the preview coming next week. But overall, Daf, so I know that we got the win against the West Coast Eagles, and it's great. I know that there are people who would be saying that the set shots weren't as great, and yes, it was only West Coast, and like it potentially could have been a VFL side. I don't know, with maybe like a Liam Baker and Jack Graham as the two standouts. I'm not too sure, but
Jesus.
I guess your thoughts, like more to focus on us right now. Like, what do you think was the main difference from our point of view? So obviously attacking was really good because we scored 121 points.
Yeah.
And the scoring was there. The scoring opportunities were there with 17 goals, 19. But was there any other, I guess, game plan, like any changes to the game plan that you saw today? And how can we like be more competitive and score better against, all due respect, the better teams, not like West Coast Eagles?
Yeah, I'm just looking at this stat now that's kind of caught my eye. I know it's against West Coast, and people will say everything we say in this episode in their head, they'll be going, yeah, but it was West Coast. I look at the uncontested stuff, and we've based our game in the first 4 rounds, not sure why, on a contested game. We had 275 uncontested possessions today, which is, 70 more than them. And, we spoke about Cottrell's inside 50 kicking. We spoke about Walsh being wide and having space. That's the uncontested stuff. You want more of it. You looked at Geelong last week. I think they broke their record for, I know they were playing Melbourne, but they still did it. They had their most uncontested marks, and that's how they cut up the teams. That's how they cut up teams when they win games, Geelong. And you looked in the second half in the Adelaide game. They'll get more uncontested stuff. They'll cut them through. Like people go, it's not like the contested stuff's great. It's great. We've got the guys who can do that. But it's the uncontested stuff which I think we've struggled at, and not having space to lower the eyes and, stuff like that. I think we've improved that part of our game in the last couple of weeks. I know the first, the Collingwood game, we had a few instances, didn't we? There was a little bit better. It was a bit better, the forward entries and stuff like that in the first half, of course. But that's a big one for me, just the uncontested stuff and the ball use. And also, our kick-ins were better today. And I know, I want to say this again, I know it was West Coast, but Gov kicking inside. How many times did he go in that probably 45 out from their goal? He just hit a guy every time. There was always someone there. I've said this for years on episodes. Just put yourself in that position. Put yourself in the guts and go call for it. Doesn't matter if you get it. But if you get it, it cuts open the game, and it happens so many times. And that was a shout out to Gov and his ball use. I thought Sardi's ball use is great as well in that D50. But yeah, it's just that ball use for me. That's how we can really improve our game, because I think, the way footy's headed at the moment, it's a very offensive based game in 2025. Defenders aren't going to be getting a lot of pats on the back this year, because everyone's going to be focusing on which team can be better offensively. Even though our defense held up today well.
Yeah, and when you look at McGovern and Sard, like when you look back at the past few games, and even the losses from last year when McGovern was playing, yet they're like, I could guarantee 90% of the time, if there was a player in the middle calling for it and Mitch McGovern has the ball, he is kicking it. And I know that we've touched on in the previous show about the turnovers with Mitch McGovern. He is leading the turnovers, and I think 7 of them led to goals. I'm pretty sure. I think I think he's maybe had 17. I might be wrong, but I think it was 7 of his turnovers led to goals. So it does make, like, it's kind of high risk, high reward.
100%.
If he kicks that and nails it, we're out. There was a certain I think it was probably the second quarter when Mitch McGovern was kind of on that 45-meter angle in the West Coast forward line. But then Corey Dern was sprinting on the wing, and he just absolutely laced him out, like literally hit him on the chest. So stuff like that is why I think Mitch McGovern is really good. And literally, he's probably the one player that I am very, very harsh on. But he's also the player that, when probably everyone's kind of saying like, oh yeah, he's not that great, I'm kind of more like, he's good, because he is that point of difference. But it's when he doesn't. Like, it's not even. I don't mind if he goes for those kicks. It's when he doesn't try in the contest, and that's just when it just frustrates me. And it's not like he doesn't try, but it looks like he just doesn't give as much effort as the other contest literally 5 minutes ago, and that's the problem. And I think, like, him getting 23 disposals. 20 kicks, 3 handballs is key.
20 kicks at 95.
20 kicks, 3 handballs.
95% efficiency on his kicking.
So that just shows why he is so important. And we don't want to keep saying it, because we obviously know it's against West Coast. We know that. But we can only go off what we 100%. Saw today, and it was a massive difference. Damn, Walsh, 3 goals, 37 disposals. It's nuts. And the uncontested footy was brilliant today. And it's not even the uncontested footy was great. It was also the contested footy, and the clearances were fantastic. I will go through quickly. So clearances were 40-18 in Carlton's favour. Then clearances were 17-5 in Carlton's favour. So people say that Bailey Williams beat Tom De Koning today. I don't think that shows that he beat Tom De Koning.
No.
17 sending clearances to 5 is very. I mean, I know it might be off Bailey Williams tapping it to the wrong player, but it shows that when Tom De Koning does dominate,
Yeah.
he is the person that is getting that first center clearance back. And that's why
Mm.
when it's 6-6-6 and we get their first ball out
Yeah.
of that center clearance, it makes a difference.
Mm.
And I could guarantee 90% of those center clearances that we got at the 17 probably led to scores, if not goals.
Yep.
So that is crucial. And I think like our contested like side of our game is great. And today, and even last week, as you said, the uncontested footy is improving. And that's the
Yes.
one thing. We are improving.
Yeah.
We don't want to play our best football round one against Richmond. We want to
Yeah.
be building towards the season.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yes, we may have left our run a little bit too late. 0-4 isn't a great start. And maybe when we play against the good sides, we might just not be there. But
Yeah.
we love to say week by week, and we need to go off what
Yep.
we saw today and move on to next week. If we do the same thing against North Melbourne, yep, great. Move on to
Yep.
the Cats. If we do the same thing against the Cats,
Yeah.
okay, we've got something kind of rolling here, and
Yep.
it's very promising. So, is there anything else you would like to touch on about, I guess, the contested and uncontested footy before we move on to another aspect of the game?
Yeah, I thought our mids were superb today. It was we spoke about it in the preview. It was a matchup in terms of both midfields that we should be dominating. We should be, and we did it. And like you said before, it's funny, like the fans are going like, oh, of course we did dominate. Of course. But if we lost that game, we'd be copping it for not winning it. But now we win it and we cop it for winning it. it's like one or the other. You got to pick one or the other. And, people aren't doing that. But in terms of midfield, I'm just going to go through three guys who really stood, well, four. You could say four really stood out to me. Hewitt. Oh, golly God. He's had a phenomenal year. He's 100% leading the BNF. 100%. Because he always finishes high in the BNF because he's a consistent player. And I'll still go back to last year's omission of him when we were winning all those games and we dropped him. He is undroppable. I don't know how many undroppable players there are, but he is in that list. He is in that list this season. Walsh, superb. Like you said, 3 goals, 37 touches. Really, really good to see. And I'm just loving the outlet ball he is getting from a center clearance. They handball it out, and Walsh is the one getting the ball on the outside. We spoke about it for the first 3 losses. Get him on the outside. Why do we have him on the inside? Keep him there. Just keep him there. You honestly just keep him there. The mids can do the job. The mids can do the job. We've got good mids. Cooper Lord's rolling through there now, who's playing solid footy as well. Like, you've got to have you guys who impact the game in spots where they can impact. And finally, in the middle with Cripper kicking 3 goals, 3. Could have had a bag, Cripper, but 23 and 3, which is good to see. But yeah, as a whole, midfielders are really good, and you look at the inside 50s pretty much tell the whole story. I think we had 73 inside 50s to 35. 73.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I was actually just about to touch on that. Like,
Yeah.
literally 73 to 35 is insane, and it shows that, like, yes, we had 17 goals, 19 on the scoreboard, and we probably could have done a lot more damage than that. But I completely agree what you're saying about George Hewitt. Now, we know that he's been very good since he's moved to Carlton, and he's played more as that sole midfielder. He's not being fucked around in the halfback flank and forward flank at the Swans he was, and they didn't really know how to use him. It was only used as a tagger apparently, but now he's being used as a midfielder purely. What is the difference with George Hewitt heading into this year? We know that he's always had the capability to get a lot of the footy, and 39 disposals for George Hewitt isn't out of this world. We've seen it before. We don't see it often, but we've seen it before. So, this year, 2025, what is the difference that you're seeing with George Hewitt? Like, is it maybe that Matt Candy isn't there kind of restricting his midfield time? Or is there another thing that George Hewitt has improved on purely this year to really now be probably our most important player?
Yeah, it's really, really good to see. And it's a good question because I think he's taken his game to the next level again.
Yeah.
And that, for me, when you see a player like that, who's been consistent since he's been at the club, to consistently improve his game, he's not satisfied. That's what I love. He's not satisfied where he's at. He could have been satisfied with 2022, Hewitt himself. He could have been, okay, that's my ceiling. and that's the player I'm going to be for the rest of my career. But the game catches up with you, Patto, if you just leave it behind. And every year he evolves his game, and he's still a similar player as at 2022. But I just feel like he's dominant around the contest. He's not losing many one-on-one. You know, when the ball's in the balance, he's winning that most of the time, and it's really, really good to see. And like we said, the last few weeks he's been hitting the scoreboard. He didn't today, but yeah, he's just like I said, he's meat and potatoes, Patto. Meat and potatoes, Hewitt. Rolls up, no social media. Rolls up to the MCG or whatever venue. Rolled up to the Adelaide Oval today. Called his wife before the game. I'm going to have 40 touches, love. And then, heads out there. He hasn't got any tattoos. He's just got his normal hair. He's just meat and potatoes. Simple as. Rocks up, gets 35 a game. You know what he's going to do. Move on. He's a prerequisite. You know he's going to get it. You just know he's going to get 30. So it's really good. And his impact with those possessions has been a lot better than in the past, I think.
Yeah. And then also what he's been doing, and I know that he didn't do it today, but he's actually been hitting the scoreboard. Like when he has a set shot, I'm like, hang on, it's Geordie fucking Hewitt.
Yeah.
I'm more than fine that him going back and taking the set shot because he's nailing it 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the way that he's gone about it. And
Yep.
it kind of shows that he only made one tackle today. So it doesn't mean that he needs to be dominant in the tackles as well. Because now he's kind of got more of that space.
Yeah.
His ball use is actually quite good.
Yeah.
Like,
he's not like a penetrating kick. He's not going to be. I think his range is that 40 meter, isn't it? Like if he's 50 meters out, he's not kicking a goal, right? But like you said, he's had a bit more like speed coming out of a contest or something. He's evolved like Cripps in 2022 when we're all going fuck.
Yeah.
Like he's breaking away from packs with speed.
Yeah, I feel I would actually like to see what his weight. Well, it's quite a shame that they actually don't show the weight anymore on their stats, and I do understand it, but I actually would like to know from what he was last year to this year. I think he's slimmed up a little bit. Yep. Like I'm not saying he was by all means like a heavy player. He's always been quite slim, but it just seems like he's got that pace and push off the contest.
Yep.
I mean, it's very, very pleasing to see, and I think he's very much that player that is kind of underrated at all clubs that he will play at. Like obviously he was underrated at Sydney, and I don't think a lot of people will be talking about George Hewitt from Carlton. But after that performance and the way that he started this season, he probably will be talked about because Walsh had a great game. But once again, we've been saying we don't want to rely on Paddy Cripps.
Yes,
and in the middle, he wasn't relied on at all. We found other guys like George Hewitt, Sam Walsh, Adam Chera, Cooper Lord rolling through there.
Yep.
It's fantastic. And it's very, very promising that you can now kind of take a seat back and say, look, we can actually play Paddy Cripps next week in the forward line 100%. And even if you need to roll him through there, if he's 100% playing if he's playing in the forward line 90% of the time and he's moving into the midfield fucking fresh against Luke Davies Uniacke, I can't wait for that. So maybe that is something that we might see.
I think it's the unpredictability. We've said it on this channel, haven't we? Both of us going, we're predictable when we lose. In the first 4 weeks, we're very predictable. But having that string to our bow with Cripps going forward or whoever going, it doesn't have to be him. There was spurts with Motlop in the middle in the last quarter, which, worked. He worked his way into the game. So it's just about having those little string in your bows. Go, okay, Zach Williams, you have 5 minutes in the middle. You have 5 minutes in the middle or whatever. It doesn't have to be him. It could be Cripps forward. It could be whoever. It's just about having those plays you can bring in. Don't just go, we're just going to keep plugging away at the same fucking thing for a whole game when you know it's not working. That's the frustrating part of those first four games. You watch the game and you go, we have not made one tactical change for 4 quarters, but we did today.
Yep. It's so promising to see. And you touched on there about Zach Williams. Where do you think his best football is? I don't think his best football is in the forward line. Yes, it could be in the forward line, but he needs to play high. He needs to play that secondary mid from you're not in the centre bounce tendencies, but you need to play that high forward mid.
Yes.
But is there a position in your mind right now that you can see Zach Williams playing next week and potentially the next few weeks to really set up his season?
I don't know. I don't know. He's not setting the world on fire in
Yeah,
any
no,
position. I don't think. I think he wasn't superb today at all,
no.
but or this year as a whole. But yeah, it's just dude. Yeah, maybe I like the idea of the high half forward, and then and then if some certain times of the game he has to play deeper and play out of the goal square. Sometimes especially without Kemp, we've got to find different avenues to goal now. And I'm not saying Brady Kemp was in Coleman medal form, but he's an option. So other guys who are a little bit smaller might have to play a little bit taller, like him. Zach can be that hit up kind of target. So I really don't know, but I really like your idea of the high half forward because he can be amongst the play a little bit more.
Yeah. And I think that's where he's best at. I think I would rather
Yeah,
him lowering the eyes
yeah,
moving
yeah.
forward and actually lacing out a target rather than him having a
Mm,
shot at goal. I
yeah,
know that he can be attacking when the ball like actually comes on the ground, but
yeah.
I just don't think him having a set shot, him being in the forward line is what I really want. I think I want
No.
him delivering it inside to the forward line to a guy
Yeah.
that we'll touch on right now, and it's Corey Durden. So I'll just very quickly just go through the goal kickers today. And we actually had 9 goal kickers, which is completely different to what it was last week with 4 goal kickers. But I'll very quickly go through the names. So Corey Dern with 4 goals, Paddy Cripps 3 goals, Sam Walsh 3 goals, Charlie Curnow 2 goals, 4. Lockie Fogarty, 1 goal. Will White kicking his first goal in
That was
Navy
good.
Blue in his career, 1 goal. Cooper Lord as well, his first goal. Mitch McGovern, a
Yep.
goal, and Sam Doherty, a goal as well. So
Yep.
9 goal kickers from our point of view. But more importantly, how did you see Corey Durden? I think he was fantastic today, and he probably is the West Coast Eagles specialist because he does love to perform to perform against the Eagles, just like
Uh,
Charlie Curnow,
yeah.
even though Charlie Curnow didn't really perform today. But do you think there is a bit of job security now with Corey Durden? Because I think there could be a bit of an opportunity with Zach Williams potentially moving
Yeah. Yeah.
into the middle. There is an opportunity in that forward line. So I'll kind of ask the same question now as well as Zach Williams. Where do you think Corey Durden um, plays his best football? Obviously, it's in the forward line, but would you rather him play deep as that crumbing forward, or would you rather him more higher up the ground like a Fogarty, and
Yeah.
maybe Fogarty doesn't really make it into this best 22 at the moment?
Yeah. No, I loved him deep today. He was. Um, yeah, he was a lot deeper,
Yeah,
and it's nice to see it. You know what I mean?
very.
Like um, it's just like that zippy zappy kind of player that we've just lacked. And he's got that breakneck speed. He's got
Yes.
that speed, and we know he has that speed. And we both, like I said, with a lot of the talking points, we've said it a lot with this guy. He has that ability to break open through a pack and kick a goal. And today, I was really happy with his performance, and that goal from the boundary was superb. But yeah, it's really nice to see. I need him deep. I need him deep, and he can play that high role. It's not like he can't, but I think I need him deep and kicking those easy goals. Those you watch other teams and you watch good teams. They're smalls. Some of them they kick the easiest goals ever. Look at Schultz last week against us. There was a couple running, but they're goals that he should be getting, and
Yeah.
Durden and Mollop should be getting. And we go, oh, why aren't they kicking goals? Because they're outside the 50. Like, what are they going to do outside the 50? Tom Papley, right? He can play high and midfield, but where does he do his damage, Pato? In the forward 50. And that's where Durden's got to be because we don't have a number one small forward. No one has taken that ownership on. There is not a number one at the moment. He played good today, but if he can continue doing that, he will be the number one. Someone can take it's for the taking, Pato. It's like a competition in a sense. Race to number one small. We don't have it. We don't have it. We don't have a number one small forward going, okay, that's, it's Mackay, Kerno, is it? You don't really know who the next guy is. So Durden, if he, the next couple of weeks, I know it's a week by week, but if he has a performance like that against North, goes into Geelong and impacts, doesn't have to kick 4 every week. But if he's making an impact, getting a couple of goals on the board, couple of goal assists, 5 tackles inside 50 type games, we'll be winning more games, Pato, and we'll be more, what's the word? More clinical in forward 50.
Yeah. And I think the way that Corey Durden plays, and especially this year, I think he's had a bit of a point of difference knowing that there is a forward spot opening. Yes, Orazio Fantasia's like not playing at the moment, and he could potentially come back into this lineup. And we obviously know that Matt Owens isn't on the list anymore. So there is a bit of that forward spot open. And like the question about the number one small forward. Do we actually need a number one small forward? Because I think that could almost be a point of difference, really. Because you got Harry and Charlie that both of them kind of have their reasoning to be that number one key forward, but they probably could kind of be both. Like they don't like they both don't need to be classified as a number one key forward.
No.
But I think we can almost do the same thing with Corey Durden and Jesse Motlop, because I think Durden coming in opens up an avenue for Motlop. I know that he wasn't great today, but I feel like a few more weeks with Durden and Motlop together, they're great mates.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like they kind of both help each other a little bit in that forward line because they kind of do play similar. And I think Motlop has extremely missed a guy like Matt Owies in that forward line. And I think Corey Durden, him coming in and performing today, kicking 4 goals. Next week, I wouldn't be surprised if Corey Durden's the one kicking 1 goal and Jesse Motlop's kicking 4 against North Melbourne. So I think that's great. And do you think that could be a thing like the next few weeks? It's kind of like not about they're finding a number one small forward. It's actually both of them finding a way to play together. And potentially a Razo Fantasia could come in and play in this forward line, and maybe Fogarty makes way. Jordan plays a little bit higher. You've got 3 small forwards there that can actually hit the scoreboard, but also run quite well.
Yeah, I think just my issue is like they don't have to be the number one. They don't have to be put on a pedestal. But it's more like we don't have a forward, like another forward with Harry and Charlie kicking 30 in a season.
No,
type.
of course
that's my issue. Like I'm not, and of course they can both spread the load, but they're both not doing it enough, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like I want to see every week going, okay, I'm tabling combined. Like you said, with them two working together, I completely agree. They will both help each other and work each other, work together. Like next week, I want to go, okay, this is my challenge to Motlop and Durden. I want 4 to 5 goals combined, or 4 goals combined for both of them. Kind of working more in a unit rather than going, I need Corey Durden to kick 3. I need da-da-da. I do it with Charlie and Harry. I say a minimum usually is 6, 5 to 6, and we're usually in a good spot if they kick a combined 6, right? But yeah, it's going to be an interesting watch. But I was pleased with what I saw with Durden, and yeah, Jesse wasn't superb today. He hasn't been superb this year, but I still think he's untapped. I think he just needs to have one of those games like that Port Adelaide game a few years ago where he kicked 4.5. He's got that ability. He has the ability. We know it. He's shown it at the highest level. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. And, North hopefully will have their, work cut out for them next week defensively, because they have a few – defensively, they're not great. So if we can work it out offensively next week, that'll hold us in good stead.
How did you find Matt? Well, I mean, we will touch on Matt Carroll, obviously the debutant, but more on Matt Cottrell. How did you find him playing more on the wing? I know that he did swing forward sometimes, but he was kind of a large percentage of the game was playing on the wing, and I think he was very good today. And we've touched on his ball use, especially moving into the forward 50, which I think was great.
Yeah.
How did you find his game kind of playing a little bit higher up and being that, I guess, Arazo Fantasia from last year, playing high up the ground and getting the high Ks? How did you find Cottrell's game today?
Loved it.
Yeah.
He was superb today. He was absolutely superb. And, we questioned, when the selection came out, I'm sure a few people were going, why is he automatically selected? He proved today why.
Yep.
And, he hadn't had the greatest start. I think his issue this season was more not having an impact with ball in hand. I think, he does the non-negotiables, like the unrewarded running, the defensive running. He's one of our best runners. And that's why he initially got a game at Carlton, because he's a freak. He's an athlete. He's unbelievable running wise. So to see him turn that ability to run around the ground and cover the ground and use it for our advantage in terms of with the ball in hand. How many times on that far wing on the right did he just have space, take his time and cut it into someone? He had 2 direct goal assists, I believe. Now, I don't know how many score involvements, but no, it was really, really pleasing to see, Patto.
Yep, completely agree. And the guy that I accidentally said earlier, Matt Carroll,
yes,
him making his debut, and I think he was solid. He wasn't. I don't think he was the best player on the ground, but I don't think he was by far the worst player on the ground either. So how'd
No.
you find him? I know he was a bit under pressure because there obviously were a lot of defenders today that did perform. So it is quite
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunate to like. It is quite hard to find a bit of form in that back line because I think everyone kind of had a point of difference and
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of a
yeah.
reason to play well
Yeah.
today. But how'd you find him today?
No, good. Oh, look at his stats. 12 kicks at 75%.
Not bad.
Take that for your first game. And
Yep.
like you said with McGovern, you great point with McGovern, him taking on those kicks. If we have more guys who want to take on those kicks, like Matt Carroll in our team, that ball movement and that uncontested game will improve. It will improve. And for me, it shows if he's getting a game over Boyd,
Yep.
that shows where Boyd's at the moment for me. And I'm not saying Boyd shouldn't get a game, but he's not getting a game. So clearly there's a reason he isn't getting a game. We don't know. The good old, I love to be the fly on the wall at the selection meetings. I love to be on the fly on the wall when they're talking about Jordan Boyd because clearly there's a reason. Clearly there's a reason. And, I think it's a lot to do with Carroll's size. He's just a little bit taller, just a little bit taller and something different, unpredictable. West Coast fans today would have been like, who the fuck is that? Sometimes when you watch a debutant, you go, who's that? Because we take so much notice of Carlton footy that we know who he is. But when you play someone, you go, like, gee, that guy's good. Like, he's handy. So he'll get a game next week, I'd imagine. We need that ball use, especially under the roof, and especially with a smaller forward line. We need to be lowering the eyes next week. If we're going high, we're in trouble offensively. But if we play like the way we did today, it'll be good to see those guys using their foot skills.
We are so used to night games, aren't we?
It's nice. It's nice. It's nice to not be recording at 1 a.m. in the morning. I must say.
God. How good is it?
Jesus Christ.
So good. I mean, like, we both obviously worked on the games day, and I only as soon as I got home from work, I worked on the Dogs Brisbane game as well. And as soon as that game was done, came straight home and got on here. And but a quick one about Matt Carroll. Do you think there is a position for him in that back line?
He's not
It's a tough one.
He's not a lock.
But do you think there is a way that back line can shape around Matt Carroll playing in that position?
Yeah, because I think he has an ability to defend really well. I think that's a key thing too. You see good players and they go, oh, he's a good ball user. But then you see their negative in their game is defense. And we've seen that with Saad in the first month. I thought he was better today, of course. But, sometimes it's like that. You've got to sacrifice one part of your game to the other. And I understand that at points, but he looks like he has that willingness to defend. And he laid a few good tackles today too, Carroll, when there was like a bit of a momentum shift with ball in hand for the Eagles. They were out and he just lays an important tackle. That shows to me that his intent is to defend first. That should be always a team's intent, to defend first. So that's really good to see from a young guy. Gee, he looked young out there, I must say. He looked like he was 13 years old running out there. But no, he's got a really good kick and, 12 kicks, 12 touches, 12 kicks. So he clearly likes to kick, Patto.
8 marks as well.
Yeah.
I think it was really solid. And the one thing there as well, uncontested possessions 11 to contested possessions 1. So he's obviously getting a bit of, I guess, time to actually use the footy.
Yep.
And so heading into next week, do you think there's kind of any chance that Jordan Boyd can come into this back line with any changes? Like, do you think there's any changes in that back line right now? Because it is actually quite solid. Haynes is performing well. Withers is doing his All-Australian thing.
Yep.
McGovern played well today. Silvani keeps doing his thing. Sard's doing well.
Yep.
Do you think there's any way Jordan Boyd can be featured next week against North?
No. I don't think so. I'd rather have a guy in the twos killing it.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good player, Boyd, but I don't think he's a 22 walk-up start. If we're being serious about ourselves. So, and he's never really been that. And we've always spoke about him being that, but he's never really been that, has he? He's never really cemented. I know he's had issues with injuries the last 2 years. He had the foot last year, I think, which he was out for the first half of the year. And then he's had some other kind of, lingering crap here and there, which has probably not let him have the continuity that he requires. But, it's I don't think I'm going to have any changes defensively because we kept him to 50. I know they were 6 goals, 14, but half of those shots were pot shots from 50, and gee, they're bad, aren't they? Just quietly. I look at it. like 2018. It is unacceptable. I know this is not
Mm.
Eagles chat, but isn't it? Like that one where, when that guy was running it on goal and Weeders was waiting for him. How did he miss that shot?
Oh, Hutchison. Oh, no. Williams.
No,
Williams. Jack
yes.
Williams. Yeah.
Like, come on. Like I said it at the time. I went, that is just unacceptable at AFL level. Like, come on. This is their job we're talking about here, Patto. Like, fuck. Anyway,
And he,
I'm not.
and he got subbed as soon as he kicked that as
Yeah.
well.
Oh,
He
fair
got
enough.
he got subbed like instantly. Like,
Yeah.
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 It's just not AFL standard.
No,
And
it's not.
like,
It's not.
we were saying, I mean, we obviously didn't have the podcast in 2018, but I'm sure if we knew each
Oh,
other,
thank
we would have been
God.
saying the exact same thing. That it wasn't AFL standard.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know why, but I was even speaking to a mate of mine today at work and about how we only won 2 games in 2018.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, we were shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, I just reckon I reckon it's probably like, how have they gotten worse? They've actually gotten worse.
West Coast. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah. No,
Like
it's something wrong. For a proud club, they'd be the wealthiest club in the AFL. Money
yeah, and they're
they
probably
make the
second
most
behind
money.
Collingwood in terms of members.
Yeah, they would be the richest club by a long way. And I know money doesn't
100%.
buy premierships anymore, which is great for our game, but clearly something from the top to bottom is not working out. And the whole Oscar Allen ordeal, and I didn't see that big of an issue with it, but I love how West Coast put so much energy into making sure he had a press conference. Why don't he put some fucking energy to winning games so he can stay at the club? There's no way he'll stay. What's the I know he's the captain, Patto, but look at his team. Like why would you imagine? Like he's going to go to Brisbane next year, which he's a favourite to go to Brisbane, right? Why the fuck would you stay at West Coast right now? They are a rabble. They will not be good for 5 years. They're not good. They're not good. They've got some decent young players. I know Harley Reid's a superstar, right? Will he even be there?
Exactly.
No.
No.
So, let's not talk about the Eagles, but yeah, they've got a long, long season ahead.
Yeah. Did you see what I shared you on TikTok today?
No.
Oh, dang it. So I shared it to you and a few other Carlton mates of mine. I should have right now. It was SEN Western Australia.
Oh no. Do they going off?
No. It was it was a thing about how Patrick Cripps will find his way to West Coast Eagles at the end of the season.
Who said this?
SEN. What, Western Australia or what? It definitely wasn't Melbourne because of
the actual talent, not someone calling in.
No, it was the actual talent. It was the actual talent on air. That's why I shared it to you. And I'm like, I hope it was unbelievable. And as soon as this episode is over, watch it. And they were literally mentioning about how he's very confident that Paddy Cripps is going to find his way to West Coast Eagles. And I'm like, surely this is a piss take.
Yeah, that's all right. No, that's all right. No, that's all right. We'll just get Harley Reid in the first rounder.
Harley Reid and probably 3 first rounders, mate.
Come on now.
No. But
that'll be torture. Seriously, he's already been through enough with this team. Imagine going from all through all those years, right? All through those years, and then when we're, this year we haven't been great, but we're better than we used to be. And then you work all that way, and then you go, oh, fuck it. No, I'm going to go back and play for West Coast, who are terrible. That is just rubbish. That is just rubbish.
It's the worst here as well because they literally were saying like, he'll get great opportunity. He'll walk straight in. West Coast Eagles don't have a born leader. Why the fuck would Cripper go there? Like he was literally saying like how he's linked to Western Australia. I couldn't believe it. I literally had to check.
Just because he's from there.
I literally had to check on the video and make sure it wasn't actually posted on April 1st.
Yeah.
I literally had to check it. I'm like, this is unbelievable what I'm seeing right now. It was just like ridiculous. And he was actually being serious. I'm like, this guy. I mean, I've got no idea who they are. But,
delusional.
But not even delusional. Just
come on.
Outright like ridiculous, mate. Like Paddy Cripps, if anything, if he was to leave, he would go to a side that is a premiership contender. He's not linked to Western Australia so much that he would move to. If anything, he would go to Fremantle.
Yeah,
he's
not leaving.
I couldn't believe it, and I'm not even gonna shine
No,
any more light on it because I
no,
didn't even
no.
want to shine any light on it. But I just couldn't believe it. And when you mentioned about how shit West Coast are, it actually made me think of it. And I'm like, why
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hell would Paddy Chris want to go to a shit club like that? And we obviously know how crap it is to be in a terrible
Yeah, yeah,
spot
yeah.
like West Coast right now. And they did compete a few weeks ago against Brisbane, so they know what's there. But I just think that was by far their best performance that they'll play this year. That like they will not be able to
Oh,
get to
they
that.
played all right against Brizzy. They
Yeah,
kicked
yeah,
the
but
first
like
6 goals.
that's what I'm saying though. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that was by far their best performance against the Lions,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
without a doubt. And I feel
yeah.
like they will be like that's pretty much the only good like that's the best of the best, I reckon. Because I reckon they had most of their players in. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's seriously bad for
Yeah.
the Eagles right now. And I actually do feel quite sorry for them. But also, they are the richest club in there. And so I don't really care too much about it because they're on the same level as the Maggies, mate. But but before we move on to the votes, though, for I just want to touch on one more thing. And I guess it's about so we obviously know how well Corey Doonan played and how great he was in that forward line. But I know that we've spoken about the forward structure heading into next week against North Melbourne. And I feel like we're now at that point of the episode where we kind of are probably wanting to look towards next week and how we kind of do find the forward structure moving into next week. I know that we've touched on it a little bit, but Tom Conning, knowing that he could be the sole ruckman without Pitnet. So, do you think there's a way that this forward structure next week could be without Cripps in the forward line, without Pitnet in the forward line, and Tom Conning is playing as a sole ruckman, and we purely play a small forward line with Charlie Curnow being the key forward alongside, like we could even bring back an Arazo Fantasia if he is fit. I don't know if he
Yeah.
100% is fit, but do you think there's any other solutions in that forward line that you can see with Paddy Chris potentially not going into the forward line and Pito might not be fit enough to play? Do you think there's any other solutions in that forward line that we can see against North Melbourne next week? There probably isn't, is there?
No, I don't want to see Pito in the forward 50.
No.
I can rule that out. But no, I think the play will either be young defence, Silvani forward, or Cripps playing more of a forward role next week. But I don't want to take his midfield minutes too much of his midfield minutes.
Exactly right.
But then you've got to win the game as well, and you've got to have targets forward of the ball, and he is a target up. Forward of the ball. If Charlie's getting the ball at half forward, which he did a fair bit today, I don't want him. I don't want him kicking to Corey Durden and Jesse Motlop. You know what I mean? Like in the small ball, it can work. I'm not saying it can't, but my issue is if Charlie's high up the ground at points in the game, we've seen it in the past. We saw it against Richmond at points. I know it was Harry instead of Charlie, but we saw it in that game, and it was just like you got 1v2s with Fogarty against two key backs, or I'm watching the Melbourne game now. They've actually caught up a little bit. They got within 10 points, but it's 26 now. But they go forward of the ball, and it's a small forward against a key back. So it's going to be a massive coaching game next week, and see what magnets they move. But I think the main one would be putting Young in defence, or just Young in the game. I think he'll be playing next week, whether it's forward of the ball or defensively. And
Really? Okay.
I just think we can't. Well, we've lost Kemp now.
Yeah.
That's the big one. If he was playing, then you'd go, okay, we'll just roll with what we're doing. But then you lose. You got him and Harry out. Like, fuck. Like you're gonna have to have someone else in that forward line, whether it's Cripps, Silvani, Young. I don't know who else. McGovern. Who I don't know. I'm not saying he will, but I'm just saying there's always levers to pull, and that I don't know what lever will be pulled, and that's a good unpredictability.
Yep. And I think you kind of feel like Michael Voss has gone with Lewis Young as well.
Yeah, yeah.
He's kind of like the Arosa Fantasia of last year, where he kind of has played consistent games when the supporter base probably is questioning why he's playing. But Michael Voss has kind of always backed a guy like Arosa Fantasia last year, and maybe Lewis Young is that player this year that he kind of just always is in the emergencies. And if he is around that sort of group of players that could play, he probably will be choosing Lewis Young to play because he kind of knows what he offers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I know that Kemp and Mackay are huge outs, and that's why when you said that, I was like, yeah, I think Lewis Young probably could play next week. But I just want to see a bit of a different
Yeah.
forward structure with Charlie Curnow staying deep.
Yeah.
I don't know why he always moves up the ground.
Oh, it's coaching.
But it was funny though when Harry Mackay went out.
Yeah.
That's when Charlie Curnow was more up the ground.
Yeah. I think in an ideal world, because I don't think he's impacting enough, deep enough. That's my issue at the moment. I think he can impact deep enough. We know he's a star when he's on. But I think in an ideal world, we have Harry deep and we have Charlie around the ground because the way he gets the ball more when he's a high half
But we
forward.
don't have Harry deep.
I know, I'm just saying that
Yeah,
in an ideal world when they're both playing, but the
yeah,
issue is we have to play Charlie deep, and then he is playing high, and it's like it's a bit of a. But my issue is he's not impacting enough deep enough as
yeah. I
well.
do agree.
Like
Yeah,
he's not. He's not at all. Like 2 goals 4 is unacceptable.
yeah, I do agree.
He was, he had his hands on. He wasn't horrible, but it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Larky's kicking bags every week. Even if he touches it 6 times, he'll find a way to kick 3 or 4. So, I'm not basing Charlie's game always off just goals, but when he is the only key forward down there, maybe I don't know. Maybe that's not how we should base him off. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting watch next week, and hopefully he can kick a bag. But if we can win without relying on him, that's a positive step going forward.
Yeah, no, I definitely do agree. And how do you think we can base Charlie Curnow's performance? I think it 100% has to be on goals. Like,
Yeah.
if he's not impacting the scoreboard, what else is he there for? If he's
His
higher up
ball
the
use was
ground,
good today. His ball use going forward was good today. He had a few goal assists I've just looked at. And he has that a bit, his field kicking, how good his field kicking is. That's what I like when he's high up the ground and he uses it. My issue when he goes high up the ground and he's not impacting there either. And that, when we're going down the line and he's getting beaten in a 1v1, I want to see him spreading like he's not Jeremy Cameron, but I want him in space sometimes. If you're pushing on the ground, find the space. Be the guy in the middle of the ground to get the footy. We want you, if you're out there, we want you feeding our forwards because your ball use is so good. So if you're out there, you may as well have some sort of impact going forward. But yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. But clearly they want him playing high up the ground, and that's what he's being told.
and that's the thing though. Like when he is higher up the ground, there's no one for him to kick it to.
Yeah,
Like
that's
yes, we
the
had
issue.
Brody Kemp, but now there actually isn't anyone there. So I'll be very surprised heading into next week if we don't play Lewis Young. I'll be very intrigued to find out what we do because you have to play Charlie deep.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it's so hard to actually do that. I think
Yeah.
he's really threatening, and I feel like it always keeps that key defender who's on Charlie
Yeah.
always on high alert because
Yeah.
you don't want to let Charlie Kerner have a shot inside forward 50 because it's a very good chance that he's going to nail it. So I just feel like next week you probably would expect it to be Aiden Core that will go straight to Charlie. I know. So
Like they always have issues with us, North.
but keep him deep. Keep him
100%.
deep
Yeah.
and just keep him as that player where isolate the forward line, have Charlie versus fucking Aiden Core. Charlie's kicking 25 next week, Daffy boy.
Yeah. I love it. I love him. I want him to play deep for sure. My worry is just like if he is playing deep, like who's the kick, who's the long down the line kick from defense. I know, like we're talking about Lewis Young. Are we really backing him in to be consistently attacking the footy and hitting targets for? You know what I mean? So that's a dilemma, and that's what they've got to work out. That's what they've got to work out because there's stages in the game where you do have to go long and wide, and people go, "Oh, like sometimes when the pressure." But obviously, we've got to avoid that when we have the choice to. We've got to avoid next week. We have to avoid going down the line long, like you said with Comben, like you said, Griffin Logs,
Rory Lobb.
core as well. You know what I mean? Like we've got to avoid that. But there is times where you have to have that outlet, and if it's whether it's going to be Lewis Young or Jack Silvani, who knows? But let's just. Enjoy the Sunday and focus on North Melbourne. When do we do the preview?
Good Friday footy, mate. Oh, get around it. But just one more question before we do go to the bag of the game votes. Do you think there's a way that Elijah Hollins can play next week and fit into this midfield or forward line? Because he could almost be that player kind of down the line. If Paddy Cripps is playing more forward, Elijah Hollins can be that forward mid 50-50 split.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think there's a way Elijah Hollins plays next week?
He was in the emergency, so I'm very confused as to why he wasn't in. But
he just wasn't picked.
I think he's got to. I think with Kemp out now, get another forward in. He can kick a goal.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He can kick a goal. He has that knack to kick a goal here and there. So we need that next week from a range of people. So yeah, I think he'll be in somehow. I don't know who's going to be dropped. That's still a long way away. We've got the injury report to go through. We've got all sorts of things to go through. But yeah, that'll be an interesting call.
Yep. It's a good thing to have, though. I think having him as an emergency, and now there's a few players that are now actually, well, it's one game, so we're not going to be over the top about it. But I think we love to say we go week by week, and we can only go off what we saw today, and it's quite good to get a few players into form, and hopefully next week they can do the same. Heading into the Cats, there is a few players heading into with a bit of form, and just see how we go and kind of restart our season now. I know it's frustrating because the season started fucking a month ago, but I just hope that we can kind of use this to kind of reignite our season. But Daf, probably the best part of the review episodes is going through the bag of the game votes, especially when you win the game. When you lose a game, not so much. So you're 3-2-1 for the bag of the game votes, mate. What have you got?
Yeah, nothing's enjoyable after a loss. Let's be real here.
No, mate, I love it.
But no, I reckon, there's almost, I'd love to know how many votes he's got in total on Baggers Chat in the history of Baggers Chat. But one vote, I'm going to give it to him. He's come in, done his job, kicked 4, broke open the game for us up forward. Corey Durden is going to get one vote from me. I think, there was 3 votes is tough because there's a lot of guys who could fit into these 3 votes. There's other names, whether it's, McGovern, Cripps, there's other names, Wiedering, whoever. They've all missed out, but they were all great. No, nothing against them. But, Durden, he played his role and more. Played his role and more than that. So 1 vote, 2 votes. It's so hard to split between these 2. I don't know what to do.
Who?
Between Walsh and Hewitt. They both can have the 3. They definitely both can have it. Oh, it's tough. I know the 3 goals probably could get Walshy to 3. But I think I'm going to go Walsh 2, Hewitt 3. I think Hewitt had a 4-quarter game. I think Walsh was great all day, but I think he had 4 dominant quarters. So 2 to Walsh, who was great. Love to see it. His meters gained was better today. I think it was 500 or something like that, which is just 10 times better than, whatever he had a few weeks ago with
171 off 31 disposals, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So it was much better. But Georgie Hewitt, he's a dark horse for the Baggers Chat Bagger of the Year, Patto. He is a dark horse, Georgie fucking Hewitt, and this week would have helped his chances.
I thought you were about to say dark horse for the Brownlow, mate, because I don't know about you. I've just put $5 on Georgie Hewitt to win the Brownlow.
I'll tell you what, I'll guarantee he'd be leading their BNF right now.
I reckon he's winning the Brownlow, mate. And the winner of the 2025 Brownlow medal from the Carlton Football Club, Georgie fucking Hewitt, mate.
And he says it like that. Georgie fucking Hewitt, mate.
Just before we do announce the Brownlow medal, so we've got a very special guest, Ethan Daffy from Baggers Chat, to announce it.
Who the fuck is this guy?
But
George's his acceptance speech were like, "Yep, cheers, fellas."
I actually want to see him with, or like even might make top 3 in the BNF. Just see what he says. He'll just be like, "Yeah, thanks, boys. Thanks to the wife and the kids. See you later. See you next week."
Let's sink a couple of beers tonight, lads.
Yeah. So my three,
Yep.
my one vote actually, my third vote. Don't even know what I'm saying. Third place, getting the one vote. I don't. I
Yeah.
feel like it's kind of unlucky for him not to get a vote, but so I do
Yep.
love the guy, and I'm going to give him the one vote. It's Paddy Cripps, 3 goals,
Yep.
23 disposals. I know Corey Durdin kicked 4 goals, and I know Cripps kind of kicked a few goals late when the game was kind of dead, but he was still doing things that Paddy Cripps
Yeah.
usually would do. And I think 23 disposals and 3 goals, and 3 goals, 3 behinds.
Yeah.
Like he actually could have dominated the game a lot more. So I'm going to give Cripper the one vote.
Yep.
2 votes, I'm going to go George Hewitt.
Yep. Like it.
And 3 votes, Sam Walsh. I think 3 goals with 37 disposals. And I think his 3 goals, were they all in the second quarter? They were, weren't they? I think
Yes.
they were all in the second quarter.
They're all definitely in the first half.
That's crazy. Yeah. Because I know that they were all in the first half, but I'm pretty sure they were all in the second quarter, which is nuts. So it obviously shows how much of an impact he has when he does have a bit of space, and 37 disposals with 3 goals is great. So Sam Walsh will get my 3 votes, and Georgie Hewitt will get the 2 votes for the bagger of the game. But Daff, before we wrap up our first win of the season review episode, is there anything else you would like to touch on before we head into Good Friday footy against the Kangaroos?
No, I'm content. I'm not over them, going all crazy and, woo, 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 woo. But, I'm happy. We just got a win. We need it. I think the group needed it just to have a break from, oh no, 0-5, 0-6, that type of commentary. So, we're off the mark. We've got a good percentage, which is because we don't lose by much. And then you win by a lot. We've got a positive percentage. We're over 100. I think we're 103 or something. So, if we win, if we go on a little bit of a run, I know we're a week by week, kind of podcast, but if we go on a run in the next, fortnight or whatever, Patto, you're just never that far off in the AFL season anymore, are you? You win a couple games and you're back in the mix. So let's go to Marvel on Friday night. Let's get around them. Let's get a win. Let's go back to back, and then hopefully we win 2 in a row and focus on the Cats.
Yep, spot on. Very well wrapped up as always, Duffy boy. But so much better reviewing a win, and it's actually good to finally speak about something different.
Positive stuff,
and it's not the second half saying, "Oh yeah, we run out games. Oh, we run out games well." Oh, well, today we actually did run out a game quite well, which is quite quite good. Is there anything you want to touch on about Vossi's press conference?
Oh yeah, no, it was good. He wasn't fully pleased, I don't think, with the performance, and I agree. It wasn't our best, but we got the job done, like you said. So, that's a really good sign for me. And I know it's one game, but and people go, oh, but it's just talk. No, nah. Like we've had issues with this, haven't we? With the whole press conferences and what he wants to look like as a coach post game. That is what I want to see. 70-point win. Like people saying it's unconvincing. You win by 70 points. The game was over at quarter time. You win that game, and he's just going, we've got to improve. We've got to be better. That's what I want to see. And then they're not accepting it. We can't accept this. This is not we are so far off, which is a positive that we've won. So it's better to learn when you win rather than lose. That's my kind of whole mantra. You got to find ways to win. And next week, we're going to find a way to win. And we won't be we're not at our best yet. And we won't be at our best next week. I hope we are. But if we're not, let's just find a way to win still.
I've got the press conference right in front of me. So as soon as this episode is over, I'll make sure to go back and watch it. But yeah, I do. We've said a lot of things about Vossi in his press conference, but I think he has actually been quite consistent.
Yeah.
Like if he was acting the exact same way after last week, which I think he was, we probably would have been like, yeah, it's too little, too late. And now he's acting the exact same way after a performance. Who is saying that this isn't a dominant performance? That's crazy. If anyone is saying that this isn't a dominant performance, what else do you want?
Yeah, I
400-point
know.
win.
It's like
It's crazy.
yeah, like 40 more inside 50s.
I feel like it's almost more there.
It's the
Like,
past games. That's it.
nah,
It's all it
yeah,
is. It's clouded by the first month of footy.
yeah, but I feel like it's also the supporters having such high expectations that are unrealistic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think we're at a stage now where we're talking top four.
Nah,
No, we're not. We're
nah.
not. And of course, we'd love to be, but we're not. So once again, week by week, we'll show up next week. I don't have the full trust yet. I don't have the full trust yet.
No
But
way.
they can bring that back if they can find some consistency and some improvement week in, week out. And then let's just knock this North team off this week.
Yeah.
They were competitive for 3 quarters today and were burnt late. So let's focus on their weaknesses and let's try and exploit that a little bit.
Yeah, very well said. And I don't think anyone is really trusting them at the moment.
No.
I don't think anyone will be trusting them after next week, even after potentially a win against the Cats. It's consistent football.
Yes, yeah.
We want consistency and we always want to improve week after week. And I feel like we have.
Yeah.
I feel like last week probably
Just
may have been a little bit of a.
just little bits,
Yeah, but
like I said to you in the text message, baby steps.
yeah,
We're not taking huge steps, which we would love.
yeah,
But it's just little things, little fucking things. Like even the Dogs game, we should have won. The reason why we were pissed off is because we were on top the whole game and lost. Like and then everyone goes, "Oh, we're fucking shit. We're fucking shit. No, we weren't. We just didn't nail the game. We didn't finish the game when we needed to. Like there was a lot of good things out of that game, and then it just gets clouded by the negativity of a loss, which is fine. That's what it is. But come on, boys. I don't want this season to be a waste.
yeah.
Make something happen.
Yeah. And I feel like kind of every week we have improved. And I think against the Dogs, yes, it was an 8-point loss. And the week after we lost to the Pies. But as you said, there was just a bit of a difference last week with our uncontested footy.
Yeah.
And I think today, everything gelled together. Yes, we weren't perfect in the first half, but it was the second half that we had to dominate in, which we did. So I just think week by week we have to go by. And that's really our motto at Baggers Chat as a podcast is 100%. Make sure we don't think too far forward ahead. No. But however, round 10, we're playing against the Swans. We're going to get the job done by 33 points.
Well, they don't look particularly fantastic.
Don't even look towards.
No. But I'm just saying, like everyone talks about us.
Yeah, exactly right.
There's a lot of teams that are like I know they've got players out, but I think we're 13th now, and we should end the round 13th as well. So. I don't think we worry about ladder positions right now. I think we worry about ladder positions by round 20, to be honest. Like last year, we were going, oh my God, we're second. Oh my God, we're second. Everywhere we're going, oh my God. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's just win these games. And the ladder will sort itself out. Let's just beat those bloody bastards next week, those blue and white bastards. And hopefully Charlie gets a few cheapies because I know they were talking about it last year. So I hope he gets a few more cheapy free kicks and he kicks 8 goals and they blame the umpires again.
Yep. Would you be a bit worried if we're 18th by round 20?
If we're 18th by round 20, I don't think this podcast is going to exist.
If we are below West Coast, mate, good golly.
Fucking hell.
My good golly. But we better wrap up the episode. So to every single blue bagger out there, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully this was a bit of an easier watch for you because we are obviously reviewing a win, which is great from our point of view because we can actually speak about something that's a little bit more positive other than a shit loss and a shit second half. It's great to speak about something finally different. And heading into today, I'm just like, there is no way that we could lose again. Because I actually don't know how we could have done this podcast, but also looking on the ground as well. I'm just like, there's just no way we were going to lose. So thank God we actually got the job done. But we'll probably try to look towards the preview episode, probably Monday or Tuesday potentially.
Yep.
So we'll make sure to get that out probably early next week. But as we said, to every single blue bagger out there, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel, whether it's on our YouTube channel, but obviously on our podcast platforms. I'll say it too often, Daffy Boy, but whether it's Spotify, also Apple Music, also Amazon Music as well. There's a few others out there. Daffy boy, and to also make sure to check out our socials, whether it's Instagram, TikTok. I might even share that TikTok that I saw today about the Perth SEN video, because that actually might be the new intro for Baggers Chat, actually. Paddy Cripps returning to WA at the West Coast Eagles.
God.
But make sure to check out our socials. But to you, Daffy boy, thank fuck.
Yes.
And to every single blue bagger out there.
The Baggers.